Welcome to Secure Digital Life. Secure Digital Life Special Edition. It's like coming to you now live, like emergency, stuff running across the bottom of the screen. Oh no, oh no, oh no.
Okay, careful leaning forward. I don't want you to fall, Doug.
Oh, I know. He's trying to but look, it was so special, I had to bring Paul. I mean, I'm
on Secure Digital Life. My dreams have come true. And all my personal information's on the internet. It's great.
It is, yes. It's like the greatest day ever. And Paul's here, all of his personal information on the internet. You can look it up right now because I mean I'm talking personal stuff like measurements, length, width, all kinds of stuff.
Very sad.
It's all there in both metric and English.
It's about half the U.S. population, 143 million people.
Well, it's roughly. It's about 45% if you start exclude. Yeah, if you exclude like people under certain ages, people that, and people that live in cabins somewhere, like kind of guys. But yeah, so this is the special issue about Equifax. And Equifax, if you don't know, is a credit reporting company. And a credit reporting company, what they do is anytime that you want to get a credit card, you want to buy a house, you want to buy a car, you want to do almost anything.
I just bought a car.
Student loan.
Probably means
you're screwed, man.
I'm screwed.
Yeah, and I bought one too, but I was already screwed because all my data was lost by the OPM.
I was going to say you're probably OPM, yeah.
Top secret. It's like that's that letter you really like to get in the mail that says like the federal government has lost your top secret data where we, and then you're like, well, you did what?
Wait, T-shirts.
And who did you lose it to?
My information's on the internet thanks to checkbox, OPM, Equifax.
Like, beat the rush, go federal. They lost it all. Then Experian, they had one.
Experian did have one.
So all these companies have had these kind of breaches before. So the only thing that's really...
Hold on. I have a question, Dr. Doug.
Okay.
Why does Equifax store my information? If I bought a car a few months ago and they needed to run a credit check, wouldn't they collect my information, run the credit check? Why would they keep my information?
That's an awfully good question, but the truth is because they sell it. They're going to sell that information to anybody that will buy it. And so there's been all kinds of controversy down through the last few years about these credit reporting companies selling people that had like bad credit to like really disreputable lenders who want to target them with high interest loans, selling student information to people or for whatever. I mean, so good and bad, but they want to sell your information because you have a profile based on what kind of car you bought, how much money you borrowed, whether you made the payments on time, how many credit cards you have, how much money you reported last year, and all these kind of things. You own a home, you all this stuff. And guess what? People want to target you with that. They want to say, I'm going to buy.
Was my SSN in there too?
Well, yeah. Your social security,
that for
everything's in there. Your social security number's in there. Your driver's license number's in there. Your home address, all the addresses you've had, like forever, are in there.
Right.
Your spouse's name.
All those things, they need to answer those questions to be me and other things.
Exactly. So when you fill out any of those credit request forms. Yeah. And then the other reason that they maintain it is so when a company wants to do a credit check on you.
They already have it.
They do the credit check. It's an instant service. So they can do a very quick credit check that they just sit down while they're talking to you there in the sales room and go, oh, he can't afford this. Let's take him to that other room and sell him the plain old pine box for a coffin.
But how do they just lose this information, Doug? Is it just sitting there?
Well,
and here you go.
It's in a database.
Shouldn't they?
And they put it in a database, and then they got hit with a web exploit, which I took to mean.
That is confirmed because I'm reading that here on Brian Krebs' website. It's unclear why web applications tied to so much sensitive customer data were left unpatched.
Yep, but they were, and the reason.
So does this really come down to
due diligence?
Yeah, fiduciary harm.
Fiduciary harm. Except in this case, it's hard to show fiduciary harm because you're a consumer. You haven't been fiduciary harmed, and neither is anyone else. So the problem is that the recourse is almost nothing. I mean, it's very difficult to put together class action lawsuits against this kind of thing or whatever because you voluntarily put the information out there. Yeah, they didn't do a very good job of protecting it, but hey, can you show that you were actually harmed by this? And that's the tricky part because if we can show, so if we start losing money, so Paul loses money because of this, I lose money because of this, suddenly I have a case. I can go back and say,
we have a class action case potentially.
We have a class action, but be careful. Read the fine print. They're going to give you a 1-year free membership to their ID theft protection service that they own, by the way. And if you read the fine print, one of the things you're agreeing to is to give up your right to class action and agree to arbitration.
So
when you
use our
accept-
free service that will monitor your credit, and if bad things happen, supposedly they're going
to take care of it.
Someone takes my social security number, does bad things, they're going to know that.
But you've agreed to
But we know
forego-
those services really don't work all that well.
Yeah, they don't do much of anything from what I can see. I mean, I have several that they've given me from other breaches, and I never was exactly sure what they did. They were like, "Oh, we do all this and we monitor all this and all these other things." And I'm like, "Really? You don't seem to be doing that." And it's just like, I think all they really do is like maybe request your credit report once a quarter, and some automated tool goes through it to see if it's changed or something. Which I never got another single report from the one from OPM. I signed up for their free thing to protect me.
Waived your rights for class action.
Oh, well, I'm not going to sue the federal government. I mean, I sue the
true.
OPM. You're not going to get anything out of that. They might give you some old, like, a free ashtray. This used to sit in the office of the Undersecretary of Special Procedures, and now it's yours. But yeah, so there's not. I mean, that's the problem with these breaches in general, is that there's not a lot of like known recourse. There's not like a law that was broken, specifically, and it's not tied.
Not patching your web applications isn't a violation of law.
I don't think so. I mean, and I don't know. I don't even know what these credit reporting bureaus are subject to. I don't know if they're subject to Gramm-Leach-Bliley or what kind of law is imposed on them. And even if it is, it's just one of the, we were talking on
Even Gramm-Leach-Bliley just is a reporting thing. They have to report.
Well, they have to audit, due diligence, and all that stuff. But it's not really clear in Gramm-Leach-Bliley exactly what you have to do. I mean, it's same thing with Sarbanes-Oxley, same thing with HIPAA. Yeah. You're supposed to do due diligence, but then it's like you say, well, we did it. We did our once a year pen test on the website, and but then they didn't patch it, and of course then they can pass it along to the pen testing company and say they didn't catch it. And on and on and on, and it's really complicated. So
I wonder if there's an Apache Struts vulnerability, which is a big web application vulnerability.
They haven't released what the vulnerability is. So maybe it was.
You may never know, and sometimes in these cases we never know.
I mean, I don't think they have any obligation to tell you what happened. So unless they decide to suddenly go public with the information about what exactly happened to their website, which they probably won't, because it may happen again, and then they can argue, well, if we release that, it's dangerous because then other people will use that vulnerability on other sites which are like ours.
It's really frustrating that it comes down to a web application vulnerability for me.
But it does. I mean,
someone didn't update their website software. That's really what
pretty
it comes
much,
down
yeah.
to.
I mean, it's just like all those old SQL injection problems that we used to have, and it was like, you didn't patch that? We're still planning a rollout in 2 years.
Well, and when you think about data out, what Doug was saying about SQL injection, it really means that through that vulnerability, the attacker can gain access to that database with all of your information in it. Really, by visiting their website and manipulating some things, they can gain access to that database, and that's what we're saying, that there's a database.
They just
with all this
bypass a real limited security, and all of a sudden you can put a query in that says "Show me everything," and it just comes up on the screen, and it's really frightening to see.
It's not always that easy, but that's the basic.
Well,
principle.
It's not that easy. Real. I mean, to do it in
something
practice,
at this scale too.
But the idea, I mean, and now you're talking about 143 million records that each have, I don't know however many fields they have. So it's a vast amount of data that they dumped. So it's not, and I don't know what they did. So they haven't released that, and they may never. So we don't know exactly what happened, but it's out there. So did you get compromised? Probably. If you live in the United States and you've ever had a loan, unless you live in a cabin somewhere and you primarily use gold coins for money, you probably have been compromised if you've bought anything on credit.
So what do you do if you were compromised, Doug? If the service that they're providing we're kind of poo-pooing and saying it's really not worth it?
Well, I don't know if it's not worth it or not. I mean, I've never seen any. I mean, I'll probably use it. I'm not sure. I've got to read the fine print and see what it is. But I mean, so there's really a couple of vectors that come after people with this. The fraud side. So the fraud side is where some of this is valuable. So the ability to take this information and make fake credit cards, fake this, fake that, fake passports, and all kinds of stuff. If you get hit with that, which is identity theft and fraud. It sucks. I mean, it's a big mess.
Changing your passwords doesn't really help.
Not really, and I don't know that they actually had your passwords. They may have had your password if you had an account on there. I didn't have an account on Equifax, so I don't have like a username and password that was stored with that information on Equifax. They just have my personal information.
Well, one thing you can do is two-factor authentication definitely helps in this case, because while they may not have your password, they may have enough information about you to maybe guess some of your passwords, and or call up some of these places and impersonate you, like you're saying fraud.
Yep.
And I read a case about this where a journalist had been, like their life started to be taken over by someone else. And the way that they did that was they called up the cell phone company, pretended to be this person, and got the number transferred to the attacker's phone. So now, essentially, the way technology works, I can have your phone basically sitting in my hand.
Right.
All that is a change on the AT&T or Verizon, whatever carrier.
Yeah.
Now I have your phone. Basically, your number is now on my phone.
Yep.
And what that means is if you're using your phone as a second factor authentication, I can then receive the text message and say, oh, yeah, there's your code. And I can do all kinds of harm. I can potentially get access to your voicemail. I can reset the password. I can take over your life, basically, by just potentially having access to your phone.
And if I'm a good social engineering guy, I can walk into a bank, and if I've printed a couple of fake IDs with your information on there, I may be able to convince somebody that I'm you and tell them I lost my debit card.
Right.
I need
No,
a
that's
new
very
issue.
targeted, and fake IDs are very, very targeted. The cell phone thing is could be a little more
Cell phone's
ubiquitous.
pretty.
But what you can do with your cell phone provider is set a PIN code, a passcode on your account.
Right.
Now, don't make that a piece of information that was in the Equifax breach. Don't make it
the
your
last
birthday.
4 of your social security number.
Yeah, make it something completely different. Not the last 4 of your social security number, because that's already been leaked. Make it something completely different, and that definitely, I've done that. That definitely,
and it's going to be
helps.
easy.
And a two-factor that's not your cell phone number.
Right.
I like the YubiKey. I like the Google Authenticator. Google Authenticator is an app you put on your phone that it asks you. Basically, it's another piece of information you need in order to authenticate to maybe Facebook, your email.
All these are two-factor authentications that help keep
It
people
helps.
out of
It's
your
not
it's not going to stop it.
It's not an end-all be-all, but it does certainly help protect.
I mean, at the end of the day, there's not much you can do about the fraud side that you haven't already done. So, I mean,
I mean, some people say call your credit card company, but
well, I will say this: the credit card companies are so good today with their machine learning,
almost too
and AI.
good sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, they do see unusual patterns, like when somebody suddenly orders 100 pairs of shoes or whatever. In Canada on your credit card, they tend to block that. I've had that one. I've had the one where somebody ordered like 5 television sets in Italy on my credit card.
Well, sometimes you order 100 pairs of shoes from Canada.
Well, yeah, but then they show up. So I mean, if you need shoes, see me. I got them all sizes, all 10. That's like they're all fakes, but I bought them in Hong Kong.
That's it.
But they look like the really expensive ones. Just don't get them wet.
Yeah.
Or sweaty or any of that stuff.
So really not much you can do. I mean,
Not
we have
about
some
that.
tips, but really...
But the other side of it is the stuff that you do need to be doing. I mean, yeah, take obvious precautions, but so watch. I mean, if you do see unusual things or you get those notifications from your credit card company, take action quickly. The other thing is to watch out for spear phishing. I mean, that was the other thing I've been telling people. This is a really good opportunity for somebody to purchase this information. Use your personal information to spear phish you, either with emails, with phone calls, with snail mail, because if they can add personal touches to that kind of an attack, it's suddenly, not a Nigerian prince, it's your cousin Phil who is sending you this information, and that has a whole different feel to it, and it really starts to push.
I also want to say, and I'm sitting here looking at my email, that if someone's trying to sell you malware protection because there was an Equifax breach, that's a stretch, to say the least. I really, you should have some type of virus protection or malware protection on your computer. That's completely separate from anything that's associated with this breach. And the fact that our industry is now using that to try and sell you stuff is kind of concerning for me.
And I think there's both legit and illegitimate going to be approaches on that, because there's people that are going to contact you saying, you want to buy this, it'll help. Let us fix your credit, give us all your information, and we'll move ahead. That's dangerous. Obviously, malware software is not really going to protect you from this kind of thing. And the only thing malware software is going to protect you from is if someone tries to spear phish you and get you to download malware. You might have some protection through Malwarebytes or some of these products, but the truth is that that's just fear mongering, and they're just saying, hey, we'll get a new subscriber out of this whole thing by selling another piece of software. And we've seen that for years with antivirus stuff, with malware stuff. The minute there's some big breach or whatever, all of a sudden you get flooded with your inboxes filled with people offering to sell you some product. whether it's clean your machine, it's identity theft protection online.
Right.
You're going to get a bunch of those in the next few days. If I was trying to spearfish you, I might be selling you identity theft protection stuff, and I'm going to use your personal information to go,
yes.
You have been identified. And who knows
People
where
are going to use this to trick you in email to get you to click on stuff. And don't fall for it.
Right. That's the spearfishing thing. And like I saw one not that long ago. I almost fell for it. It was a good spearfishing. It had my daughter's name in it. I don't know how they got it, but they had my daughter's name. And
the way this will look is I'll say, hey, Doug, you can come to my website, and I'm going to tell you the impact, whether you were a part of the breach or not. All you got to do is give me your social security number. Right. So
kind of like what Equifax is doing. It's like, go to our site, log in using your social security number and your last name.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, they did do that.
Oh, they did.
It's not the whole social security number, but it's like
just the last
6 they asked for. So now they got 6 of, and they could guess the first 3 if they know where you're from. But I checked, and at least the Equifax, the Equifax Security 2017.com.
Yes, is the site you go.
That
you have to plug in most of your social security number.
That one actually has a certificate. It was legit. So
I'm still uncomfortable putting my social security number.
I was like, great. Now and I know you have my social security number now because you just compared it to my last name to tell me if I've been breached. So obviously you have it. Now I knew they had it anyway, but they've also got your birthday and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of threats there. I think most of the threats are then from you being coerced into action from this information. Like I said, I've been breached so many times, I'm kind of numb.
So you go to this Equifax2017.com.
Right.
It wants me to enroll in their complimentary identity theft protection and credit file monitoring service. I don't even see where.
You need to go EquifaxSecurity2017.com.
I'm there.
Oh, that's not the way it looked earlier. Oh, you're at the consumer notice. You need to go back up somewhere.
Oh, it's
returned to somewhere there. Maybe it's like blown out right now.
All I can do is enroll.
There you go.
I don't want to enroll.
Well,
I want to just see if I'm part of the
There it is. So you do begin enrollment, and that's where it asks you for the information.
Oh, but that's not telling me if I was part of the breach or not. Would I've already gotten
when you do begin enrollment, it asks you for the last 6 and your last name, and
then it tells you. So I have to enroll in order to find out.
You're not enrolling. It gives you a date that you'll be allowed to enroll.
Okay. Gotcha.
So just by checking, you're not actually enrolling in anything. You're just checking, and it tells you. I don't know what it tells you if you've not been breached. Mine just said, yes, you are part of the breach. On September 15th, you'll be allowed to enroll in this credit protection program provided by us. Because you trust us so much at this point, please enroll. We're going to do a great job here, even though we didn't do so much over there. But, yeah, I mean, if I'm being a little cynical, it's because I really hate it when somebody says, we just lost all your data, but trust us to protect you in the future. Because
give us your name and last 6 digits of your social security number.
Right. But they have it. I mean,
that's true.
I mean, they already have your social security number. You're not giving up anything.
So does the dark web.
They do.
Probably
I mean, you can probably go buy your own social security number back. Somebody asked me not long ago, like, what happens if I lose my social security number? It's like, you go on the dark web and buy it back. Just put your name in and get one.
Because they won't sell it to anyone else.
Nah, it's perfectly safe. Or I can look it up for you for a 10% surcharge.
There you go.
It's like, just give me some Bitcoins and we'll be all good to go.
Oh, boy.
But this whole thing is a mess. Does it affect you directly? Probably not. I mean, it affects you if you're breached. But is it going to be some heinous thing and you need to run out in the street screaming with pitchforks and torches? Probably not. Could it affect you? Yes. The thing you need to be careful about is the fact that you may actually be contacted or they may use this information to try to better spearfish you, which that's what you need to be watching out for. The very first episode of Secure Digital Life was about spearfishing. So if you haven't watched that, you might want to go back to the very first episode of Secure Digital Life and watch the spearfishing show, just about how spearfishing works and how to protect yourself a little bit from that. But this thing may
based on the information provided, we believe that your personal information may have been impacted by this incident.
Now, see, that's not the message I got. The message I got said you have been breached.
Oh, interesting.
And it went ahead and gave me a date, and it said as of September 15th.
So I might be good. I might be good.
Better off than
I might be good.
Yeah.
I'm better than Doug.
He's only partially screwed. Yeah, I was full on.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so
well, thanks for doing this, Doug. That was informative for our listeners to understand the hoopla. Don't believe the hype.
Yeah, don't believe the hype. Stay on top of it. Be vigilant and diligent with your own personal data and watch.
Doug's really screwed in this case. I'm just like maybe sort of screwed.
Yeah, I'm just going to go out here and jump off the balcony now. So it's like why not? Or I'll go chug that bottle of. I'll do the vodka chug challenge from the bar.
Oh, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah,
it's a big mess to clean up.
Well, we have plastic bags and tape and all that stuff.
We should do this more often.
I
Security
know.
Digital Life.
It was fun. Thank you so much, Paul, for being on Secure
Thank
Digital
you.
Life. I hope you guys will stay safe out there. We'll see you next time on Secure Digital Life. Bye.